Hello, welcome to the third of three videos. First one being the walk around and interior cabin texture detail talk. Second one being systems in the cabin, cockpit here rather, for setting up the flight out of Tokyo and Narita today. We are in real world weather in the iniBuilds Airbus A350-1000. And I originally had said 1,400 nautical miles. I think it's more like about 1,600 nautical miles, give or take. We have everything set up for takeoff, which was done primarily in the second video. And being that this is the actual flight video, I'm going to go ahead and get ready for takeoff. The cabin crew had already spoken to the passengers. Everything is set up here. We've done our takeoff checklist. The check here for the config works out fine. Nothing going on here that's of any concern in amber or anything like that. We've got all of our menus up, as you can see. I am on the taxi page here, and we'll go back out of that and get ready for takeoff. So we are ready to go. And let's go ahead and get onto the active. Flaps are set. APU is off. There's no smoking, no mobile, no walking around in the cabin. We are ready. Cabin is ready by our message here in green, indicating that the cabin crew has, in fact, spoke with the passengers. We've got everything on our PFD set up. We've got our barometric pressure scope. We'll turn off our taxi light there for the button. And we are ready to go. So I'll try to keep the talking to a minimum during this takeoff roll so that you can see and hear the aircraft taking off out of 34 left, Tokyo Narita, bound for Hong Kong. Thanks for joining me today.
V1.
So we'll keep the landing lights on below 10,000 in this weather. And we are in autopilot, climbing out. $7,000 for Aries. Managed mode. And V profile there. And it's stating that we are going to be at 7,000 feet before Aries, so more than enough performance to meet the deadline. And everything's completed there. And then all we have next is obviously approach. That's not coming for 1,600 more nautical miles, so we're good with that. Let's make sure that we are using our bleed airs, which we are. And our cabin flow valves are indeed working. Scaling back that horsepower. 7,000 at Aries. Next up on the agenda, 10,000. And pull. So by let's zoom out one more. So between A4L12 and A4L13, we will easily meet our 10,000. As a matter of fact, we're going to meet it by 12. So that'll be perfect. Slide that up to 14 and pull. And our top of ascent shows right there. And it's slowly creeping up our navigational line there. So I'm just staying ahead of the curve with the aircraft here. As I had mentioned, we're approaching 10,000 feet. And we'll throw the landing lights off. And keep on going. Okay, just above. Throw that off. And we'll get a better view out of the cabin than that. Like I said, just trying to keep it talking to a minimum. That way you all can, you know, experience the aircraft in all of its splendor with the sound. Okay. And next order of events, we have to pull over to standard at 14,000 feet here in Japan. Swap over from 1,000 placeholder to the 100. And we've officially broken through that cloud layer. 14,000. Standard on the Barrow. Next up, Ibura, 18,900. And everything is automated. Vertical, lateral, nav, everything's in the green. We are just climbing on out towards our cruise altitude today. Which, looking at the systems here, flight level 380, flight level 400. So we will be making our way to 40,000 feet eventually. And everything seems to be going well. So if we acquaint ourselves here with the approach checklist, naturally, you know, we'll have to set up the brake to vacate. I definitely like to do that at an unfamiliar airport. I have not taken off in IFR conditions before from Tokyo Narita, and judging by the looks of it, who knows what's going on 1,600 miles southwest of here. But if in fact it is IFR conditions, we are going to be using the ILS that this plane offers. We'll zoom out. 80 nautical mile range. 320. 640. So yeah, I guess we're southwest, more or less heading, right? Next up on the list, flight level 200. And we'll slowly climb our way out. Suffice to say, I don't want to bore you any more than necessary, but in the good intentions of a pure review, I figure it's most appropriate to show you the process, because not doing this plane a full throw shakedown would be an injustice, in my opinion, because it deserves all of that. So, when we get to at least 38,000 feet, I'll go ahead and supercut back. Should be instantaneous for you. Not too long in real time, but you can tell everything about this. Like, even when you zoom up, man, these textures are just, whew, it's all there. The detail is all there. I mean, look at the reflection on the compass there. It even shows the real-time windows and the position of the sun. Very, very nice. There's that sun. So we'll see you at 38,000. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, welcome back. Just like that, here we are at flight level 380, or 38,000 feet. Mid left-hand bank here through our waypoints, and I've gone ahead and set this up. I've already synced the weather at Victor Hilo Hong Kong Airport International, and we have more than enough stopping distance. Now, the METAR calls for It seems like dense fog quite a bit. Who knows what'll happen in the time until we get there, but the runway is theoretically dry. And the reason I bring that up is because may as well set up the brake to vacate. So to do that, the first thing I want to do is pull up the appropriate setup here, and I just want to show you, you can scroll through these, so whatever your landing condition is will dictate where you would set this, right? So you've got it like that for your runway condition, and then you're going to come up here, front, top, center, and go to plan, and you're going to scroll down to zoom, and it will pull up your airport. You're going to zoom in, and what you'll notice here is that according to our flight plan, we were scheduled for a 7 center. Now it's highlighted there, and you'll see the green, right? Lets us know that that's our runway, and it even states that. And then you'll see a dry 6 approach here, right? So if we zoom in even further, it'll show us that line. This is the minimum braking distance that we need. Now, if you had a particular gate you wanted to go to anywhere around here, you could certainly plan accordingly for your brake to vacate on whichever exit access way you would like. So rather than burn up the brakes, we will slate for, I don't know, past the magenta dry 6. Let's call up right here to this. We will select it, and we will set brake to vacate. And then with that, we will come out of the arc, and it should be calculating the brake to vacate. And then when we throw on our button over here just above the landing gear, you'll notice in the PFD here, brake to vacate. So now when we actually come in to land, we are going to be having our plane automatically brake at this exit Alpha 8. So we'll watch for that, but obviously these lines are dynamic depending on how long your runway is, what taxiways are available, and what the weather conditions are like on the runway. Now again, this is a disclaimer that Navigraph is needed for this functionality, but on a modern Airbus that has brake to vacate, for the price point that this aircraft is at, it would just be inappropriate to fly this if you have the means and not use the brake to vacate. I know that sounds very elitist. However, using the function like that on this aircraft, I have not seen on any other aircraft. So you combine the brake to vacate with the auto ground spoilers and the ILS approach for the inclement weather on 2024 with the exterior visuals, what you're looking at here is, like I said, in my opinion, arguably one of the most thorough arguments for what a study level aircraft can be in the simulator. Quite a remarkable feature. Although it's a tiny one, the detail there and knowing where the airport is on the runway and how it's going to interact with it is, I don't know, it's quite incredible in my opinion. So we will obviously be testing that out. The only thing that we also have to do is we're at flight level 380 now. We have a step climb coming very shortly here. So we're not there quite yet, but right after Roussard, step climb to flight level 400, and then hopefully smooth sailing the rest of the way. Top of descent, and then we'll be coming in on the star. So that'll be the Bay 4A 07 center with the Navigraph Jeppesen charts for that ILS approach. Now this aircraft theoretically should tune in the, you know, on a nav rad page, right? So identification, frequency channel, and course. Slope 3 degrees negative, class ILS for 07 center. So we'll be working with that, after we get into the star and then arrival. So enjoy the view. When we are in our descent phase, we'll go over the checklist and we will get back to you then. Should be a supercut away just in a few seconds. Thanks very much. Okay, we are actually in the descent for Hong Kong International here, down to flight level 25,400 feet, and we are transitioning down to the star, of course. So in doing that, we also have to go to the approach, and most importantly, I am absolutely interested in this brake to vacate feature. Excited to show off the iniBuilds level of detail with that. Really neat stuff. So we are coming down. There is the landmass to our starboard side there, and everything's going according to plan. I believe we have approximately 16 minutes until touchdown. So, yeah, about 114, give or take, nautical miles out. But this is the final phase. Once we get through to these waypoints here, the Abbey 4A is the beginning of the star. So, everything's looking great. We are right on time, plenty of fuel, 12,200 kg still left with plenty of reserve in the event of a go-around or anything like that. The transition altitude here should be around 11,000 feet, so we will swap over to local QNH at that time, and we'll also throw on the lights at that time. So the FMS here is telling us check destination data. We have to enter that in for the local weather and stuff so that it knows the predicted winds and everything. So if we get a little bit closer, I will go ahead and put all of that in. And then when we are at approximately 11,000 feet for the barometric change and closer to final, I will go ahead and supercut right to that. So just a few brief seconds, and we'll save you about 100 nautical miles of wait time. Okay, transitioning from descent through 11,000 feet here. Let's go to local barometric, and let's also turn on some landing lights here, eh? Okay. Good to go. Let me just zoom in here real quick, and you can see we are right on track. So we're going to hang this left and then just slowly make our way around to the right. You can see our airport, Victor Hilo, Hilo, Hilo in white, right at the top of the PFD center there, just right of, and that is where we are going to pick up our localizer. Right at that VH710 is where we should transition to the ILS. So, with that being said, when we are making that left-hand corner, or right-hand turn rather, from the left, right here at Limes, that is where I will bring you back, because we will be on short final at that point. See you in a sec. welcome back for the final 2 right-hand turns before we are on short final. I brought this in a little bit under our flight path profile intentionally because I wanted to be at a level so that I could explain to you what was basically going on here. You can see the ILS frequencies and the course are all set up automatically by the computers here. So I'm also going to aim for a little bit under VH710. I'm going to go direct to 1600 in our altitude selection there on our selector knob, so that way essentially we can make sure that we intercept that glide slope here. I'm also going to take this out of managed speed mode by the aircraft. We could let it go, but what I would like to do is start slowing down pre-hand so that we can meet these speeds sooner than the aircraft could put us there. Again, I mentioned about staying ahead of the aircraft being the most important thing. So we'll select it like that. We'll let the airplane slow down on its own. We are definitely within range of the airport. And I went ahead and threw on the terrain projection there so that you can see essentially it is definitely projecting, you know, from the port and the starboard wings out, which is really nice. So we won't go ahead and pull on that altitude knob yet to get it set up for the descent to 1700. Now it would fly that, you know, no problems, but I just want to make sure that we meet the needs of the ILS beam coming out of the threshold of the runway. So as soon as we get just a little bit closer, we'll go ahead and test that. Since we're already there, like I said, just a little bit under the vertical flight path, that's okay. I like to stay ahead. With that, we'll go ahead and pull out on the knob and then call up 1800 feet. Still a little short of Limes at 3000, but that's okay. We are in manual speed management, right? 185 or thereabouts. We are doing that ourselves so that the plane can essentially stay within. What I like to do is I like to keep these, I like to keep everything, I know I've said this multiple times, but I like to keep the plane, out in front of me, task-wise, so it doesn't, you know, I can walk it through the paces as opposed to like trying to catch up. That being said, now would be a good time to make sure that everything is armed and the spoilers are armed for automatic deploy upon landing. I'm going to go ahead and throw some slats out. And the noises you are hearing is the motors working. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here and round down from 20 to 10 on the range. And now we're at 1800 with our slats deployed. Rather not, our slats are leading edge slats. Don't want to get the slat/speed brakes confused there by definition. But yeah, this the terrain is on, and you are seeing that in the PFD there on the right hand PFD. And it shows, you know, green and orange and things of concern if you were in a complete Cat 3 landing condition. So that's always good news. VH 710 at 1800, 1900, and then VH 711 at 1500. So if we come in at 1500, we'll make sure that we are there. I'm going to dial that up. Go ahead and put that in. We'll rotate our speeds back just a little bit here. 175. Come down here. We'll look at our performance page for approach. And we want to be 192, 171 for slats, 143 for flaps. So that's going to give me my speeds here. And we'll slowly start bringing the aircraft down in terms of deploying gear and everything. So we'll put the gear out, extend another step of flaps here. to hit about 140 knots is what I would like to aim for. Extra set of flaps. Okay, we're lined up for VH711. Swap over to LS, swap over to LS, dial up the approach button. And let's go ahead and throw in full flaps. Gear down. And there's 7 center right out in front of us. I guess that's the tunnel to go into the airport. That's cool. Okay, so we're at 155, full flaps. Just gonna leave it there. In fact, I'll go a little bit faster just to be courteous of the time. Now I am completely controls off. You can see that I am not manipulating either the rudder or the joystick. The aircraft is essentially managing itself, and we do have, if I can come up here, we have brake to vacate in blue, land 3 signal or single. So these conditions are more than appropriate for single autopilot in ILS.
1000.
We'll rotate down towards our speed now. 140. Do not want to overspeed the wheels on landing. If you look out, it may be a little blurry for you, but if I zoom in, we've got 2 whites over 2 reds. That means we are right on glide slope. If you look down here, we are right on glide slope. Magenta centered, ILS. We've got the tune, and we are heading 100% towards the threshold.
400.
Again, not touching anything. We have auto brake and everything, so it should take care of itself.
Minimum.
And now that we have it in sight, I'll go ahead and cut off the autopilot and get ready to plug in the reverse thrust
40,
here.
30, 20,
retard,
10.
Okay. Trying to get a buttery smooth landing, not maybe so much, but here we go. And it's a floater, so we'll see if the brake to vacate can deal with that. And it did, because we are making
auto brake off.
With reverse thrust, spoilers deployed. Let's go ahead and retract our spoilers, retract our flaps, and this is the brake to vacate exit that we did in fact select up, I believe. We are now off of the active. Let's turn off the landing lights, throw on the taxi lights, and just find a convenient spot to park. We'll put taxi on here. Turn everything off that isn't necessary. Let's go ahead and fire up the APU. Put the strobes back. We'll pause here for just a brief second. And we'll bring the APU to life. And once we do that and we get back to the place that we are going to park up and end the video, we'll supercut right to it. However, we will let this gentleman speak so that you can hear the interaction. Very well. Fantastic. APU is on its way. And we'll catch you at the parking spot. See you in a brief second. Okay, just like that, we have found our spot. Let's throw on the parking brake and confirm that we do have successful APU and bleed air, and in fact we do. We'll leave the navs on position 1. Matter of fact, we'll swap them to 2. We'll turn off our taxi lights and everything else with that. So no unnecessary lighting. Let's come back down here and we will move engine power. Okay, so that's that. Now we can come back here and let's just look real quick at the maintenance here and see what we got going on. It does say APU starts, APU operating time, everything looks good. So we can service the engines, I guess, and service the hydraulics, yellow and green. Top them back off. Now, of course, if you wanted to roleplay, you could, open these panels up and go on in there and do everything you want to do, like, outside, walk around, post-flight, things like that. Alright, so we are good to go. We'll turn off our navs, and let's go ahead and step outside, and I think the best way to see it one more time, we'll put the chocks, the GPU, and all of the nice features here for us to see once more. Okay, let's hop on outside. Alright, so just like that, we departed Tokyo Narita in this 3-part series. We are here now in Hong Kong. And as you saw, the brake to vacate worked. The ILS and approach mode worked fantastic. Stayed ahead of the aircraft, did not get behind, and everything went according to plan. $80 is steep, but if you've got this aircraft for 2020, i.e. the 900 series or the 1000 like we flew today, it's an awesome aircraft. If you manage to couple it with the SimBrief and the Navigraph, I mean, you're just in for a world of treats. There's no place with the range this kind of aircraft can offer that isn't really out of reach, right? I mean, it's spectacularly detailed, the textures are photorealistic, it flies the way it's supposed to fly, and it just came out. It's only gonna get better. And it's already fantastic, and I would venture to say it's right up there with the best in terms of fidelity and depth with anything that I've probably flown in 2020, X-Plane 12, or 2024. So with that, this has been the 3-part with AOK Games. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and leave a like, leave a comment, leave a dislike, whatever you want to do, it's good by me. Appreciate your time. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.